Amesy here of Amesy's Antics. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're well today because I have a sewing project to share with you. And this week it's a sewing project that is not to be worn, but it will help with making your own clothing and is a staple for your sewing area and sewing kit. So I'm going to show you how to make a sewing ham, otherwise known as a tailor's ham, which is used to press out newly sewn seams, especially on the curve, to give them that really polished and pressed look, just to make your garment go up that extra level. So if you would like to see how to make a sewing ham, then let's get sewing. To make the sewing ham, you are going to need 3 different types of material, or 3 layers of material. So I'm using a wool for the outside as well as a 100% cotton for the opposite side, and then for the inner lining I am going to use another piece of cotton material, but you can also use calico or something a little bit stronger. Then you're going to also need a sewing pattern for your ham, and I will link the one I am using down below for you, as well as a filler. Now I am using wood shavings as my filler choice, which is the traditional choice of a tailor's ham. However, you can use any other type of stuffing. So the tailor's ham pattern that I am using is by Jennifer Lauren Handmade, and it is a free sewing pattern. I believe you have to go through the shop and look to buy it, but it is actually free. So what you want to do is cut out 1 of the wool layer, 1 of the cotton, and then 2 of the inner cotton or calico / muslin, whichever material you are using. And this is what you should end up with, a nice ham shaped pieces of material. The construction of the sewing ham is fairly simple. First you want to start with the outer cotton piece facing this right side up, and then on top of this place the woolen outer piece right side down so that the right sides are touching together, making sure all the edges line up as well. Then we're going to make a little bit of a sandwich, so taking one of those inner lining pieces and placing this on top of the woolen piece, then flipping it over and placing the remaining lining piece on top of the cotton outer piece, and it should all sandwich together nicely, so you will have the 2 outer pieces on the inside and then the 2 lining pieces on the outside. And once this is flipped right side out, everything should be in the correct place. So we're just going to pin all this together around the outside edges, and I've placed 2 pins for the gap that's going to be left where we will backstitch, and this is where you can turn it right side out. So I'm going to head to the sewing machine and sew all the way around the outside, backstitching the start and end of that gap. And here is what the sewing ham will look like. Now we have a 1.5 centimeter roughly seam allowance here, so I am just trimming this down at the bottom so it makes it easier to be able to tuck the bottom edges in once we sew up that gap. And then I am using pinking shears just to trim the seam allowance around the rest of the sewing ham. Now you can just trim the seam allowance and notch it, but I thought why not use the pinking shears, because that is in effect creating lots of notches, and you do need notches around the curved edges to help it lay well once it is turned right side out, and this is what it will look like. So then what we're going to do is just flip this the right side out so that the woolen and cotton piece are on the outside and those lining pieces will be on the inside. Once it is turned right side out, you just want to make sure all the edges are fully pushed out fully, and then it's time to get on to stuffing. Now I am using the traditional method of wood shavings / sawdust. Now the reason why this was used and was so popular is because it helps retain the shape once it has been used, as opposed to filling that is more fibrous like stuffing that you see in toys or even fabric scraps, this bounces back really well. So what you want to make sure it is tightly packed with that wood shavings. And thank you to my dad, who has been doing a lot of woodwork, and I've been able to recycle some of his wooden filling. Then once it is fully filled and stuffed, you then want to use a hand needle and thread and do a blind stitch, I think it's called. I always call it a blind stitch, and I'm never sure if that's quite right. I think it is sometimes known as a ladder stitch. So what you want to do is place a knot in the back of your cotton and then bring it through from the inside out, create a stitch horizontally on the side that you have started, like so. And then what you want to do then is take the thread to the opposite side, threading again horizontally through, and this will create a stitch going from side to side. And do a few of these, and once you have done a few, you can then gently pull, and it will pull the thread and close that gap, leaving it sort of invisible. So it is a really good closing up method. So you want to do this until all of that gap is fully closed up. And once the gap is sewn up, we just need to dust off any of that loose wood shavings, and then the sewing ham is ready to be used and making your garments look perfect. So there you have how to make a sewing ham from scratch. Really easy to do, and a great way of using up some of your old scrap fabric as well. Now the stuffing, you can use different ones. I have gone for the traditional sawdust wood shaving stuffing, but you can use fibre or old fabric scraps. The wood filling or the shavings bounce back a lot better than fibre ones, and that's why it was traditionally used, I believe, anyway. So I've gone the traditional route, but you can stuff it with whatever you like just to really pad it out. And I think it's going to help 100% with all of my new sewing makes, so I cannot wait to fully try this out. Let me know what you think in them comments below, and whether you'll be using a sewing ham or have used a sewing ham before. Put it in them comments. And if you enjoyed the video, then please do give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you have not already subscribed, to keep up with all my creative and crafty antics coming up onto the channel. I do have a few more sewing projects up my sleeve, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if that sounds like something you would be interested in, and hit that notification bell as well, which will alert you each time the videos go live. I also have a blog, Ames's Antics, which is linked down below and up above for you to check out as well, because sometimes there's just a little bit more information over on the blog than is in the video, so be sure to check that out as well. And with that said, I will see you in the next video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and week, and are able to do something creative and crafty like make your own sewing ham or other sewing projects. And until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!